Ready to talk worm tea? Let's do it.
Hey guys, hope you are well into the swing of spring and watching all of your babies grow. I hate to admit it, but when I first started gardening, I relied entirely too much on pesticides and commercial fertilizers to help my plants, not realizing that I was killing beneficial microorganisms in the soil. Now that I'm far more educated on the subject, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk to you about the benefits of Petra worm tea concentrate. We hear a lot about worm castings and worm teas. We also hear that they're great for microorganisms in your soil, but why? What is worm tea and what exactly does it do? Worm tea should be considered an all-natural growth hormone for soil and plants. Think of it like giving your plants a powerful liquid vitamin booster. Worms create substances that act as growth hormones, cell regulators, and anti-aging compounds, which you can't find in a typical compost mix. If compost mixes are not properly composted, they can sometimes contain human pathogens and E. coli. The bad news is if you apply a source of questionable compost to your vegetable garden and eat your harvest without washing it, there's a good chance the E. coli will remain present. Worm tea works around the downfalls of traditional compost to deliver the best nutrients possible to your plants in the safest way.
This pesticide-free, non-toxic, USA-made formula is easy to apply. I'm going to simply add 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon of water. I always try to do my spraying either early in the morning or at sunset, and you're definitely going to want to use each batch that you mix within the same day. Outdoors, I use my powerful Petra 4-gallon HD 4050 backpack sprayer, so I've added 8 teaspoons to this mix here. 1 gallon of Petra worm tea concentrate will make up to 700 gallons of tea for you to use for your plants and vegetables. When worm tea concentrate is mixed with water, the oxygen wakes up the dormant microorganisms, and when applied to leaves and soil, the various bacteria and microbes perform a number of very important tasks. Essentially, you are coating the leaves and drenching the soil with millions, if not billions, of microbes, all competing for a food source. For example, protozoa eat bacteria that may be living off decaying plant material. Other types eat microbes in their wastes. This all results in an environment where dangerous molds, mildews, and bacteria cannot flourish. The leaves are now protected against harmful airborne spores and microbes. Microbes break down the soil, and plants can uptake nutrients better, which will lead to increased plant health and disease resistance. Plants can never get too much worm tea, so use it freely, ideally once a week, but at least every 2 weeks.
So what exactly does this stuff do? Well, first of all, you can expect improved soil structure and aeration. Microorganisms travel through the soil, digesting and absorbing the carbon and various nutrients in decomposing matter. And then they release these nutrients of organic matter back into the soil, where it's taken up by plants. As they are conducting all of this movement, they are tunneling small pores through the soil and leaving oxygenated pockets behind that help roots breathe. They also aid in storing water and essentially create an ideal soil structure. Due to the physical structure of worm castings, they are more difficult to pack together than regular soil. This improves the airflow throughout the soil so roots can breathe and microbes can do their jobs easily, traveling through unimpacted soil. In fact, if you're stressed by growing conditions of clay soil like we are here in Missouri, this is a great product to start to break down that thick clay into a soil structure your plants will love.
Acting as a pest and pathogen defense for your plants, worm tea contains microorganisms that produce a digestive enzyme that break down the exoskeletons of insects like mites and aphids. Additionally, it will stimulate the growth of different kinds of protozoa that consume pathogenic fungi. So think about this. When applied as a foliar spray, it protects plants by coating the leaves and adding microbes to help protect against foliar fungi diseases and pathogens, but also helps to eradicate the mites, aphids, and other arachnid populations that they come in contact with. In fact, worm tea is excellent for early sprays on roses to prevent or control the spread of mildew. How does it help with cellular growth? A great example is the use of worm tea on lettuce. It makes leaves grow like crazy with its natural fertilizers, and after harvest, they store longer in the fridge because of a stronger leaf structure that retains more water. Same applies to those beautiful blooms you're waiting for. More water retention in your plants means less drooping and wilting in the heat of summer and longer bloom time for all of your flowers.
I love how it can help to degrade previous use of pesticides. This is something I'm primarily interested in and what ultimately led me to learn about the benefits of worm tea. In the past, I would blast this property with pesticides. I wasn't educated enough to know the harm I was causing. I wanted to figure out how I could rebuild the organisms in the soil, and the worm tea is the perfect partner to do that. The degradation of pesticides in soil is primarily handled by microorganisms. They produce enzymes that work to break down any toxic elements of the soil. The microorganisms work to continuously renew the soil as they digest the decomposing matter around them and turn the once sterile soil into a nutrient-rich mix over time. Did you know that about a quarter of all organisms are in the top 2 centimeters of the soil? Organisms become inactive if there's not enough decomposing matter around them to thrive. So what can we do to help? Applying the highly concentrated worm tea can aid in the process of doing all of these things and more.
Apply worm tea to seedlings up to 2 weeks before planting to help increase the survival rate by helping the roots take up some great nutrients right before transplant.
Welcome to my compost pile. So in my hasty way, I kind of just throw a whole bunch of stuff back here, predominantly leaves and grass clippings when I have them, because the grass clippings typically go back in the yard. When they don't and I have to bring them back here, I kind of just make this huge pile that sits from season to season. So underneath this is beautiful. You're going to see a really thick, rich, dark compost like what's over here. But the top couple of inches always are the last to kind of finish composting. So using your worm tea sprayer, you can go ahead and mix 5 ounces per gallon of your worm tea and apply it to the top layers of your compost pile, and then go ahead and mix that in thoroughly. The microbes will go ahead and get in there and start breaking down what hasn't broken down yet.
To really amplify the benefits, put down a layer of worm casting or compost before you spray your tea. As a foliar spray, you can expect more leaves, larger stems, and more nutrient delivery, which can be critical to plants that are in shade or part sun. Spray leaves top and bottom until they are dripping onto and into the soil for protection against various foliar and root pathogens. Petra's age castings are completely decomposed and will not attract ground pests. Use on the lawn to help retain moisture, enrich roots, and aid in breaking down thatch. Repeat applications help to rejuvenate soil in sterile lawns that were chemically treated and add microbes to sterile soil. Mix 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon and see a difference in your lawn in just a few applications. Beneficial to houseplants also, I will mix in my watering can 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon. Again, this will act as an odor-free inoculant to the soil that helps keep it pathogen-free. Worm castings don't smell bad either. They smell like fresh rain in the forest. In fact, something important to note, if your worm tea does start to smell foul, do not use it. That can be a sign that it's spoiled and full of bad pathogens. One thing I loved it will help with on houseplants is preventing root rot. So I have quite a few plants in the house that do not drain, so it's imperative to make sure those roots are healthy when you can't always be sure the soil is draining properly. It can greatly aid in keeping things under control with insects, root rot, and pathogens, especially when you have more than just a few houseplants.
If you're not already sold on using Petra Tools worm tea in your garden, then maybe you should consider these facts. It's good for the planet. Worm tea concentrate adds microbial life to your soil. It will not destroy the water table, oceans, or the environment. It will not burn leaves like other fertilizers can when used improperly. Worm tea concentrate will not burn plants even during blooming season. It provides essential elements and micronutrients with no damage. Petra Tools organic worm tea that, unlike a lot of teas, let good bacteria settle to the bottom and die. Petra's proven formula actually suspends bacteria with technology developed from over 40 years of professional commercial agricultural experience. Available in 8 ounces, 32 ounces, and 1 gallon, this liquid gold is non-toxic, has no hormones, and absolutely no chemicals. Easy application, and to store it, just keep it in a cool, dry place between 55 to 75 degrees. Remember to keep it out of reach of children and pets. I hope you were able to learn some of the benefits of using the highly concentrated Petra Tools worm tea, and for more information, visit petratools.com.